Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, the Strongest Wizard, and we have the biggest One Piece event happening this year in January in LA, and that's One Piece Nationals. And we're here to talk about what's gonna win, what could win, and what's really not gonna win. So, yeah, let's dive in. Alright, so getting into this video now, I don't really want to ramble for too long. I'm going to try to be really concise, not talk too much, you know what I'm saying? Just like get to the point, man. Get to the point, wizard. And so yeah, we're going to be talking about One Piece Nationals. What deck's going to win? Top 3 contenders? I think it's going to be Sakazuki, Pluffy, and Enel. Out of some of the more recent events that have happened in OP05, which we don't have too many, we're going to be taking a look at some data right now, but these top three decks have had the most showing in those events. I think Sakazuki is a fantastic leader. It's the most played deck for a reason, right? It reminds me of a better red-green law. Unfortunately, I have to say better because it is better. It's a lot more consistent than red-green law. There are times when you don't draw a Bonnie or a law and you just want to cry and go to sleep and wake up and cry again. But Pluffy is another really great choice that you can play. I think Pluffy is extremely aggressive. It is kind of consistent, sort of. There is no searcher in the deck, but grabbing an extra card out of your life when you need to, it boosts the consistency a little bit, but it's really aggressive, which is probably the most important part. Lastly, we have Enel, and Enel actually probably is the also a fantastically great consistent deck, but it actually has the most wins in OP05 that we've actually have seen, so that is extremely important, and it's extremely toxic to play against, and it's extremely toxic to lose to. And in such a big event, you could probably say it's one of the easiest decks to play in such a huge event. I'm not saying it's brain dead, don't get me now. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think it's a lot easier to play than Sakazuki, so that's really big, right? So getting into some data now, let's look at what we have. So I pretty much got the top 3 biggest events in OP05 from the Go himself, Eggman's website. We have the Eggman's top 128 webcam event, which he threw, which was amazing. So I got the top 16 from there. The core TCG LA regional that we just had in December, as well as the Dream Hack Treasure Cup. I got the top 16 out of those 3 tournaments, threw them into a pie chart, and this is what we have. Now, I do want to mention that there are a couple decks that, like 3 decks, I got 1 placing out of those top 3 events, and I'm not gonna really show them. Like, I need to have 2 decks. You need to have 2 results at least to make it to this pie chart. Don't think those decks are terrible or not, but you could say that's probably because of the run that they had. They probably didn't see the worst matchup, or maybe they got really lucky. I just need to see a little bit more results, and 2 is fine. So getting into it, we had 15 people place with Sakazuki. That's not too surprising. It's probably the most played deck, as well as I think the best deck in the format right now. Second is we had Enel with 13 placings. That's actually really good for Enel, just because you know, a lot of people did doubt the deck a little bit. A lot of people thought Katakuri was the better version, or the better yellow deck. And then coming in third, not even close, is we got my man Pluffy. Yeah, Pluffy taking four top 16 placings, it's okay, it's pretty good, but there's a huge gap, right? Like, we have Sakazuki now at the very top, and then we have like Pluffy way down at the bottom of the hill, but still a really great deck. And shortly right after that, we have Katakuri with 3 showings, as well as Zoro with 3, and starter deck 10 Luffy with 2. Now, we know Katakuri, we know Sakazuki and Enel are fantastic. We know Pluffy's really good, but let's talk a little bit about Katakuri just for a quick second. I thought Katakuri has a better matchup spread versus Enel. I think Enel loses to certain decks really hard, like Pluffy, but Katakuri does not too terrible against Pluffy. So that was actually quite surprising. That, or people just are kind of afraid to play Katakuri versus Enel. Enel has a better matchup against Sakazuki versus Katakuri, so that probably is another big reason. The next deck I want to talk about is Zoro. everyone forgot about red. No one really plays red anymore. And the biggest issue with Zoro right now, it has a terrible matchup against Enel. Now there's gonna be some people in the comments saying, I beat Enel with Zoro all the time. Well, that's fantastic for you, but a lot of people have issues playing against Enel with Zoro. It's just like an auto loss almost, and that's really, really bad. Second or last and final deck is starter deck 10 Luffy. This one actually catch me by surprise. It's a 6k leader. It's brand new from the starter deck. That's red and purple Luffy. It's really good, but only having 3 life, it's actually quite scary. I think it has a lot of bad matchups. It's mainly a glass cannon. If it sees all the pieces, it's like the best deck in the format. If it doesn't, which it usually doesn't, it's just like below average, or it's like decently good. Yeah, this is the data. This is what we have. And I know a lot of people are on Facebook constantly, like myself, checking to see what got top 16 at your local case tournament. Was it Sakazuki? Was it something more random? It was probably a Enel. But yeah, those are the data. And I just pretty much grabbed 3 biggest events, right? That makes sense. Now, if you're going to Nats and you're asking me, Wizard, the almighty Wizard, you're a genius. Obviously, you're never wrong. Obviously, you're a YouTuber. You're never wrong, right? Okay. Well, what should I take going into Nats? I'm flying in from Ohio, Texas, New York. What do I play? Well, if you were flying out here and you're playing, or if you're just in here and you want to win, you take Sakazuki. This to me is a brain dead choice. If you're trying to win nationals, One Piece nationals, if you're trying to win top 2 to get your invite to Worlds in Japan, you take Sakazuki. Sakazuki can beat pretty much any deck. It has very little to no bad matchups. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why wouldn't, like, what's the reason why you wouldn't take Sakazuki? Well, that's because you hate the mirrors. Dude, I think at least 60% of the people going to nationals is gonna be playing this deck. So if you don't want to play the mirror, don't take Sakazuki, even though it's the best deck in the format. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. Or because you don't want to play against Enel. Enel can be kind of rough. Actually, probably your worst matchup. But I know a lot of people are saying right now that are like, oh, it's a skill check. You only lose to Enel with Sakazuki if there's a skill issue. Bro, that's BS. That's so trash. It's so trash because you can totally lose off of triggers hard, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying, yellow's a devil or anything like that. It just happens, bro. Like, it is what it is. You can play around like a random Satori coming out or a Sanji coming out. I get it. You can do that, okay? But if you don't see your Enel tech, which is extremely crucial in that matchup, you can just lose. If you don't see the Kaido, if you don't see the Kuzan, it can just happen. I don't think you're a terrible player for losing to Enel as a Sakazuki player, okay? I just want to get that very clear. Next thing, we have random counters. Do you know how many people are going to go into Nats and be like, I'm a Sakazuki main. I know everyone's playing Sakazuki. I'm going to play the one deck that destroys it. Some deck that like runs Birdcage or something like that, or some hidden tech that no one knows that just destroys Sakazuki. Some rush down deck that can outperform Sakazuki. You're going to run into those decks, those people that are very spiteful, those people that are trying to end your career. And they might get you. They really might get you. So I just want to throw that out there. That's a reason why. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Wizard, you're saying if you're going to Nats and you want to win, you're taking Sakazuki. Me? No. No. I'm not playing Sakazuki. I'm playing Pluffy. I'm playing Luffy. The golden man himself. The sun god himself. I'm running that boy. And why? Well, it's a lot of fun. I'm trying to go and have fun. Yeah, I would love to win nationals. That'd be amazing. You know how much content I could make if I won nationals, dude? Like, yeah, of course. But I gotta be a little realistic, okay? If you're taking Sakazuki to nationals, you have to be training, grinding like some of the best players in the world. And unfortunately for me, I don't have that kind of time. And I've known that, and I'm accepting that I don't have that much time to dedicate my 100% time into One Piece to be the best player in the world. I just don't got it like that, all right? Now, if you do, that's awesome. I hope you win. I am not shaming you at all. I hope you really do win. But me, I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to have a good time, and I'm trying to still perform really, really well. I believe in Pluffy. I think Pluffy is really great to go into nationals because everyone's gonna be taking Sakazuki, everyone's gonna be taking yellow, enel, Katakuri, all those decks, and Pluffy does really good against enel. And even though the matchup is terrible against Sakazuki, terrible, it's not good. You could see 3 Houndblaze, and I'm gonna go home, cry, wake up in the morning, cry again, have a good time. But it's a lot of fun, man. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's really, really good. And there's so much tech you can run in this deck. There's cards like King. There's cards like Douglas Bullet you can run. I've seen things like 4-cost Uta. 4-cost Uta you can run. There's just so much tech that you can run in this deck that just makes it a lot of fun. Okay. Now, am I coping? A little bit. Probably. Yeah. I think when top players ask me, hey, Wizard, you're taking Sakazuki, right? And I'm like, nah, man, I'm not. And he's like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you not play Sakazuki? Well, I just gave you the reasons why. And now, Sakazuki is the best deck in the format, right? Is it going to win Nationals? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think it's enel. I think enel is going to actually win Nationals. And the reason why, it can be any deck, man. It really can. It can be any deck. You can get so lucky, and there's going to be a handful of people that are just extremely lucky that have in crazy amount of triggers that have tested and have outperformed a lot of top players with Sakazuki and that have trained for this very moment to run enel. I think enel's going to win. I really do think so. Now, it's possible. It doesn't. It's possible that Sakazuki just takes the cake and, you know, we call it a day. And that's really it. So that's my rant. That's my ramble. I think obviously enel's going to win. I think any deck can win though. No, actually, no, that's not true. I'm lying. I'm capping. I don't think any deck can win. What deck is really going to win? Really? It's Iceberg. Iceberg, baby. That deck's going to win. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out the channel as well as this video. I really do appreciate it. And stay tuned because I have a ton of new One Piece content coming out soon. See ya.